I'm going to do a video on Matthew 24 again. I just want to break this whole thing down. I'm going to probably end up pricing one of those. I always make fun of them. The blackboard slash, I used to call them etch-a-sketchers. Guys would sit back there and they'd write out all these things, showing you the same thing over and over again that they learned in Bible college about the end times. But you need to understand something. Nowhere in the Bible do you find a pre-tribulation rapture. Now, I know that there's always going to be feedback from those that have been indoctrinated, but I was indoctrinated for 20 years and studied it hardcore. And I just ask that you give these verses a chance, and just like all the other videos. And I just want you to be able to understand that the Bible teaches this very clearly when the timing of the rapture takes place. And I know that many people will mock and maybe even comment and tell me, this means this and that, but without listening to the video in its entirety, which should be a prerequisite to anybody actually being able to comment. Let's continue. So in Matthew 24, verse number 28, I'm going to focus on this verse for a second. The Bible reads, "For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together." Wheresoever the carcass is, the eagles will be gathered together. Now, turn to Luke 17. Luke 17. Now, as you're turning to Luke 17, I'm going to make one comment. Notice that in Matthew 24, this verse, "wherever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together," is being used in the same context that the rapture is being used. Okay? Same breakdown, same context from verse number 27. And real quick, hold your place in Luke 17. I'm just going to talk about this for a minute. From verse number 27 on down shows you what you should be looking for. The verses right before that, like verse number 26 of Matthew, says, "Wherefore if they shall say unto you, Behold, he's in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chamber, believe it not." Then it goes on to explain these different looks of the rapture. They're all different looks of the rapture. And when you understand that, Jesus is putting these together so that you can see all these different things and compare them throughout the whole Bible and find out, wow, that's what the Bible actually teaches. That the rapture takes place right here after the greatest persecution or time of trouble that's ever taken place on the earth. People say, oh, well, that's when God's pouring out his wrath. No, it's not. Because when God poured out his wrath and destroyed the entire earth with a flood and only saved 8 people and 2 of every kind of animal, 7 and 14 of certain kinds, that's already happened. Been there, done that. But there's coming a final persecution of Christians where when the Son of Man returns, will he find faith on earth? Because many are going to be slain for the gospel. But those who are paying attention and watching, they will know when wherever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together. So in Luke chapter number 17, it goes on to speak, and I'm going to start the verse number 32. You can read before and after this on your own. I ask that you pray to the Holy Spirit. Let him lead you on the truth, not me. I'm just showing you where these things line up, and I think it's a pretty good observation of how they fit together. Remember Lot's wife. What was Lot's wife like? Well, in Luke 21, it says, "Don't be overcharged with surfeitness, drunkenness, or the cares of this life, that the day overtake you." What is surfeitness? Tongue twister. It means excessive or excessiveness. Don't be caught up in everything that causes you to be in great debt during this time, because you got to have everything everybody else has. or just being out of shape like I am right now. Because if you're out of shape, you're not going to be able to take off and hide and wait for Jesus. And that's another thing. I've heard preachers say, well, if the rapture doesn't come right away and the Antichrist is revealed, I'm just going to go preach the gospel and die for Jesus because I know that the end is short. Okay, so Jesus, that's what he told you to do. Go preach. He said run. He didn't say preach. These be the days of vengeance that all things should be fulfilled. He said run to the mountains. Don't go in your housetop and take anything out. He said run. He said take off. Right? That's what he said. He didn't say, oh, well, now's the time to go out and hand gospel tracts. Why? Because the separation of the wheat and tares is taking place, and you will die for what you believe. Remember Lot's wife. She looked back. She had kids. She had family. Whosoever shall seek to save his life shall lose it, and whosoever shall lose his life shall preserve it. I tell you, in that night there shall be 2 men in one bed. The one shall be taken, the other shall be left. Now, that doesn't mean they're in the same bed. And homosexuals have used this to try to say, see, one homosexual is saved and the other is not. That is a very strong debate out there today. And the truth of the matter is, I'm going to go and sleep in my bed tonight, and many billions of people are going to sleep in their bed tonight, and some are going to wake up in the morning and some are not. And we're all in one bed because we're in bed, but we're not in the same bed. 2 women shall be grinding together. The one shall be taken and the other left. 2 men shall be in the field. The one shall be taken, the other left. And they answered and said unto him, Where, Lord? And he said unto them, Wheresoever the body is, thither will the eagles be gathered together. Now, what the Bible's actually teaching here is wherever the body is, or the carcass, the eagles will be gathered together. Now, who's the body? Who's the sacrifice? Jesus Christ. When you see the sign of the Son of Man coming in the clouds, right? Wherever we see Jesus, then we will be gathered together to be with him. And I believe it's Isaiah chapter number 40, where we will mount up wings like eagles. So many other comparisons of eagles in the Bible, some good, some bad. But I truly believe that this is speaking of our gathering together with him in the clouds. Why? Because it talks about the rapture in Matthew 24 and Luke 17 when it's talking about us being pulled out or taken away. Now, the truth of the matter is, many in the pre-trib club cannot answer this, or they want to push it off onto Revelation 19. But the truth of the matter is, we're coming back with the Lord at the Battle of Armageddon. And many of those who get saved here on the earth, they'll end up probably dying during that time of when God's pouring out his wrath. And they're fighting to not take the mark of the beast. But the truth of the matter is, those that are saved will be gathered with Jesus in the air. So therefore, wherever the body is, the eagles will be gathered together. So I believe that's the best interpretation of those 2 verses, considering the context of which they are written. Thank you.